moment. Doc.set.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you.
You permit me to share my screen, if you wouldn't mind.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So allow me to start sharing my screen, if you are okay with that.
Yes, sir.
Have you allowed me?
Yes, you are allowed, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. So I'm sharing my screen now immediately. Can you see my screen, please?
Yes, we can see it, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes.
Let me start by thanking the CIPM chairman and his team for organizing this webinar on HR and business strategic decisions. I want to say that I've been a member of CIPM for about 20 years. This is the first time I'll be getting involved in a webinar as a speaker, but we've been interacting. And I want to commend his chairmanship, Dr. Emmanuel Gungbuyi, who has even come to my office and brought my full membership certificate that was hidden somewhere. I want to say thank you very much. And also thank Dr. Osage. We've done everything possible in my center to work together to bring him on board, including my visiting him in Abuja, but it was not meant to be. But I can see him here at the beginning. So thank you very much. I wish CIPM very well, and I hope that we'll go further. This is the beginning of webinar, and then we hope to deliver value through people, as the mantra is. So if you permit me, today I'm talking about HRpreneurship. HRpreneurship, here we talk about human resource and entrepreneurship combined together. How to understand business for strategic HR decision. I want you to know that there are about 4 components of management. Yes, there are those who produce, the food soldiers. If you know Miss Beck, Harry Miss Beck is the one that brought, the governance architecture in terms of management trajectory, in particular human resource. They are the key, they are the main and only factor existing in an organization that is animate. The rest are inanimate. The factors of production, land, labor, capital. So you talk about labor, you talk about the entrepreneurs. So the other factors, the land and the capital, they are inanimate in nature. And so what are we doing here today? We're trying to bring out the link between HR itself and entrepreneurship. So first of all, what am I going to be talking about? I'll give some brief introduction and concept definitions, and then I'll go to HRpreneurship mantra, and then I'll go to HRpreneurship in action. I'll also go to HRpreneurship in practice. Then I'll give some concluding remarks. Let me find out if I'm not talking to myself. Can you hear me? Oga Gungui, ṣé tó gbọ́ mi báyìí náà? Wow. That means nobody can hear me. Okay. If we cannot hear me, I will assume that you can hear me. And that is why the coordinator should always to speak on behalf of the people so that his audio will be clear, so that it's not one person will be speaking. Because if I'm the only one speaking, I won't know whether there is echo, whether there is responses, whether there is impact or not. So the traffic is unidirectional. I don't blame the people that mute everybody, because it was Fashola that said, if you want to know how difficult Nigerians are to govern, that you should open a WhatsApp group and say nobody should post rubbish. Then you will see how difficult they are to govern. That is easier to criticize. So I don't blame them for muting everybody. But if you can hear me, please always mention so that I know you are there. Are you there? Ogungwe, if you are there, just raise up your hand. Let me see you. If you can hear me, always raise up your hand the way I used to do. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so if you can hear me, please let me know by you sending a chat on the chat group to tell me, Prof, carry go. So post there, then I know we are together. Yes, I can see your hand now. You are waving your hands. Well done. That means you are following me. So one, the mantra, the action, the practice, and some remark. So then we go. Then I can continue. Introduction to entrepreneurship mantra. What are we talking about here? Number one, the entrepreneurship, what is it bringing on board is proactiveness and not reactive. When you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to be proactive. It's not fire brigade that after the fire has finished burning the house, then you start appearing to do nothing. In entrepreneurship practice, you are expected to be proactive, to think ahead, to look at what is next. Strategic decision making. There is a noise at the background. The organizers should mute themselves, please. So there should be strategic decision making. And then you have to know those to work with. It is not, the business of HR is not a server-master relationship. Every employee you are bringing is a partner in the business. And if he's not ready to be a partner, if you see you as a boss and him as a servant, the practice will not. So they are all business partners to grow the profit. That is why the big organization like Coca-Cola and the rest of them has been there for over 100 years. So you have to, you must try as much as possible to ensure that you build that partnership arrangement and you are not reactive. Those who are not entrepreneurs, they are reactive. They wait until something happens, then they start correcting. They don't anticipate, they don't predict, they don't prognose, they don't anticipate, they don't plan ahead. And so what entrepreneurship is trying to do is to ensure that you have those attributes. Then what do you mean by the point of view, HR from entrepreneurship point of view, that is looking at it in action? Number one, from the entrepreneurship point of view, what are we expected to do as HR person? One, you have to see that you manage talent. If you look at what happened in Nigeria during the immediate past coach, Finidi George, and some talented players in the team, is the issue of talent management. Most talented employee, they have this sense of arrogance and sense of fulfillment. If you don't know how to manage and massage their arrogance and their pride, you miss it entirely. Top talent, they are full of themselves. And rather than missing them and destroying the organization and said, I would rather sink than to stoop to conquer. So you meet those attributes entirely. Then there are people that don't care. Destructive tendencies must be done away with. Culture of building. In entrepreneurship, anybody that comes in is there to build the organization. The bigger the pie or the bigger the cake, the better for every one of us. So if it doesn't work, nobody will be better for it. Number three, you have issue in change management. For instance, they said, you better anticipate change or you have it imposed on you. If there is anything we can do as entrepreneurs to see how do we manage changes, what is the trend? If you don't monitor the trend to look at changes in technology, changes in pattern, and all that, if you look at as it is with the AI now, you will see that all this Google that we used to do is reducing by the day. People use AI a lot and not Google. If they are looking for something, AI will give it in a snap and all that. If you look at today, before we used to use a scanner, big scanner by our decks. Today, our phone can scan and do it. So these are changes in technology we have to key in. You can't afford to be using the olden days typewriter. when everything now you want to do, you have personal assistant in AI and so. So data is oil. The new oil is data. The more data, there are people now, their work is to be supplying data, and they are living by the day on it. So we must try as HR manager to be generating data that will guide in our decision making. If we don't build data, we may not be able to take the correct decision. A well-informed decision is premised on accurate data. If you are not current, you cannot be correct. So you need the right kind of data, the appropriate data. Now, if you look at what we depend on is on the national data, National Bureau of Statistics. You can see the blunder they committed in 2022, where they said that they've done some new methodology and our unemployment is now 4% from 33%. That you don't need anybody, even a blind man that cannot see and cannot touch, will be able to tell you that our unemployment is far bigger than that. Our inflation is going close to 40%, 33%. How comes unemployment is 4%? And that is why nobody has been quoting that data. Nobody has been using it. Now, there are other organizations that supply their own data. The World Bank, the IMF, although we know that they have their own ulterior motive. That is why they're giving up prescription that is affecting the economy. So a data-driven HR decision-making is the best that we can think of, very important. Now, as I mentioned, in taking decision as HR, we must be able to define market trends. What is going on in the market? If a HR person is not following the trend in terms of how much a big talent is costing in the market, and we don't look at those trends, we miss the best talent. And we'll just be working with average players in the field, and we miss it entirely. Then there's the financial acumen, ability to look at the key performance indicators, the budget, the financial statement, and all that. We should be able to know that. What are the figures? What are the numbers that we're dealing with? What is coming in? What is going out? How do we balance the equation? Very important as HRpreneur. Regulatory awareness. For instance, if you don't know laws, particularly labor laws, you don't know when to fire, you don't know when to hire. Sometimes we don't say it here, but there is a big bank in Nigeria that fire people. The case have been dragging in court in years. Sometimes they pay damages, firing people unnecessarily without knowing the necessary HR, trajectory. You must know what the law say. What are the regulations on hiring that kind of talent? What are the issues? There are people that they went and give appointment letter that doesn't hold water, doesn't stand in the court of law. So you have to get this in and understand the trend, understand the regulatory framework that you are dealing with. Now, what are the tools and techniques and the HR environment? Now, I've mentioned data. That's the analytics, the metrics, the workforce, the trend. You should be able to know that. And then you must understand the SWOT analysis and not SWOT. The SWOT analysis is what we deal with, what we call instead of the weaknesses and threat, we turn them to aspiration and result. So that's why instead of SWOT, we have the SWOT. Then there is employee survey. You must continually carry. That's why I said data is very important. You have to do survey, anonymous survey, to see how people think about the organization, how about they think about the practices that you are going on. Then the most important thing in HR today, HR is not the HR of those days. There are software, there are HR information system that if you use, it saves you a lot of time. There is also people plugging in. You know how many people have come to work, who is on a stable, who is not on a stable, who is doing what, who has been paid, who has not been paid, who is collecting what, allowances. On your desktop, all those information are there using HR, information system or HRIS. These things are all there. So today, the work has been made easier for HR practitioners. So you don't have to stress yourself, writing, drafting metrics, doing all this in there, all there for the taking. More so with AI today, the HR work has been made easier. Now with the blockchain technology, if you join with the blockchain technology that is going on, that the blockchain technology is where data are stored, are saved, you cannot change it, you cannot alter it, you cannot. So that's where the cryptocurrency and all other form of asset, digital asset are being traded. So HR has gone now, has penetrated AI and blockchain technology. Then there is also the benchmarking practices. What we do in benchmarking is that you compare your HR practice on others, and that is why we have the association. And that's why we have webinars. That's why we have conferences. That's why we have workshops, seminar, and symposium, and the rest of them. So that your presence there will help you to know and understand what is going on in the field of human resource management. I had my PhD in Ife. It was on human resource management about 20 years ago. I taught in Ife. I left Ife about 20 years ago after teaching for more than a decade there and all that. So I had my PhD in HR and I work on HR, develop HR, models and the rest of them, and very, very good. Now, what are the HR strategic development in entrepreneurship? Um, there are many a times HR should work to know that employees know the objectives of the business. What is the business out for? So that you can speak it. If you go to some organization, you see that the HR strategy is a bit missing. Uh, what is happening is that some people don't know what the business is. Sometimes you hear them say, that's how they are doing it. Who are they? You are part of the company, you are collecting money, you are being paid, and you are calling members of your team they. So you see that they like to exonerate themselves. They don't see themselves as part of the team. So we have to know some of those strategies. How do we retain talent? I went to one organization to do HR work. They asked me to come and do performance review for their staff. And then there is one, his performance was good based on record, based on what before me. Then they came to me that they are the one that recruited me, that this person should not be promoted because he's arrogant, he's stupid, he's this and that. I said, well, by the document before me, I do not see that presented. I see that he's doing his work. There's no case of absenteeism or lateness to work or truancy or all that. I said, that's what we assess. In terms of his ego, there are times they need counseling, they need advice. If you now start dealing with somebody who is hardworking because of your personal interest, because of sentiment, because of some issues, exogenous factors outside HR practice, it doesn't work. Don't how to engage a problem and then succession planning. If we don't plan who takes over next in the next 1 or 2, 3 years, we should get. I had a department where I was HOD. After I served as HOD, I called for a meeting. I said, we have to put succession plan so that we know who is going to be the next HOD in the next 10, 20 years. In effect, it is like that. We know who will be next, who will be next, who will be next, like that. So we try to build that. We have challenges, but eventually we have to meet and resolve that only one time somebody will do and hand over to the next person. The most senior, where they tie, we pick age. Who is the most senior in age? But we look at who is the most senior academically. But if there are 2 or 3 of them, who is the most senior among them? If the age factor, they are all there, who is senior by 1 day, by 2 days. If they are born the same day and they got promoted the same day, they have the same qualification, we have not reached there. We'll look for some other factors. So we have to develop strategy about an engagement, recruitment, and competencies and objective for the organization. We must align all those things together. Now, we have discussed that what gives a competitive advantage as HR practitioner. How do we improve our decision making? How do we retain, the best talent without any issue? So very, very important. What are the talent acquisition steps that we need to do? The onboarding, the sourcing of candidate, the recruiting, the referencing, verification exercise, because sometimes you have to verify from their last employer before you interview them. Please, can we mute, please? I was muted. How come some people are not muted? There is noise around. HR, can we mute, please? Can we mute everybody with the exception of me? They have blocked me. Can you hear me now, please?
Yes, I can hear you. We can hear you, sir. Just go ahead.
Okay. Please allow me to share my screen. You blocked me, please.
Okay.
Allow me to share my screen.
Okay, you can now.
Okay, thank you. Can you see my screen, please?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
so we have to go fast. Time is going. Talent management in HR, I've talked about data-driven, focus, marketplace. We must know what is going on in the marketplace and what have you. HR innovation in practice. I know I've told you about the mantra. I'll tell you about the action to be taken, and I talk about the practice. I've talked about the information system, and I talked about the tracking, how to track. You can track what is doing what, who is doing what. The learning management system is very, very important. I work in Abuja with a group. Their learning management system is so superb, so great, and I saw how HR is being done, and that's where I learned my learning management system, the software, and all that, and the tools of HR. Very, very important. These are things that this lecture cannot cover, but you have to learn them. Sometimes you can watch YouTube videos, you will see how this thing is born. But sometimes you have to pay for these tools, materials that will help you to build your efficiency. And sometimes routine tasks can be automated. And for instance, we don't have to be, what we continue to do, AI can handle it and all that in HR. Our work is now simpler than it was many years back in HR. The recruitment process, the training and development employees, decision-making, and work enablement. Where I work then in Abuja, everything is there. Any information you are looking for, you just go to your personnel management system, your PMS, we call it PMS, you will see everything, whatever, any rule, you want to apply for anything, whatever, is done online. So HR practices have gone very far. I'm concluding now because I've been given limited time. So what are we concluding? Number one, in HRpreneurship, we have to be holistic in our approach. We call it system. HR management in system. Everything is involved from point one to the end. All the system, we involve them together. Now, how do we influence employees to ensure that they practice? What are the HR management practice tools that will bring influence? Like Carnegie said, how to influence people. So what do we do to influence decision-making that is perfect, that is flawless, that is strategic? Very, very important. How do we generate the data? Sometimes there are already existing data, as I told you, National Bureau of Statistics and also our HR practice, but you don't heavily rely on those data. You have to generate your own, the one that you can be sure of. And that's what we call primary data in terms of decision-making. You go around, you go to the field and get questionnaire, structure questionnaire, you administer them, people give you information and all that. And then innovation and efficiency. You must be very innovative. You cannot be innovative if you are not engaging with people. You don't belong to the HR ecosystem, what is going on in big firms, in medium-term firms, in SMEs, and the rest of them. So to be able to innovate, you must see what others are doing and see how can you do it better. Continuous improvement. Continuous improvement comes by continuous learning. And that's why we have mandatory professional development program where you attend, you see the thinking in the HR framework. So what are the HRpreneurship areas we need to look at? Number one, there must be discipline. One of the things is like entrepreneurship, people are not disciplined, employees are not disciplined, the managers are not disciplined. Discipline with time, discipline with money, discipline with resources. Any HR manager that cannot manage human and material resources very well is not there. And that's why we have governance. We call it HR governance, in fact, not HR management, because management, governance is both management and leadership. Leadership leading animate resources, management leading inanimate resources. So the HR governor, instead of HR manager now, the term now is HR governor. So that means you are managing both human and matter because they complement each other. So we have the labor and the capital, they complement each other. And they say integrity, the hallmark of a HR manager. You must be trusted. The employees must trust your judgment. You are not partial. They cannot see bias in it. You will see that there are people that are close to you When they go out of the field, you must reprimand them, and everybody sees. So your integrity is intact. You must respect the dignity of labor. The cleaners should be respected. They are human beings as well. There should be social justice. There should not be partiality. You must be religious tolerance. Sometimes religious in Nigeria is a very sensitive thing. You must demonstrate that level of tolerance. Some of the employees don't use religious bigotry, to bring confusion in the place. Not accept that. Patriotism. You must be patriotic. You must own the business. You must take it as if it's yours. You cannot be talking as if it's someone's business and you're waiting to get another job to go. No, leave a lasting mark. You must not be part of those people that destroy the organization. Now, as director of my center, I developed this. I personally took me time to develop it based on the characteristic I see among my staff. If you come to my place, you see I display this in different places. One of these are punctuality and regularity at work, events and function. If you look at, we are used to coming late. I had to come here around time, and we do not start anything till about 30 minutes later. So you can see that we are used to this, and HR manager must know for regularity and punctuality. Corporate comportment and outlook, dress well and formal. A HR manager, you are dressing speaks a lot. They say you are addressed the way you dress, so be careful with that. Respond to mails and text messages promptly. You see, I have to be used to this kind of challenges I'm facing with people that, you send them texts, you send them messages, they don't respond at all. Or you take them 2-3 days before they respond. No, don't do that. Answering phone call and feedback, never respond to calls in front of client or superior officer. Take excuse before responding to calls where extremely necessary. I was visiting professor in South Africa. I was visiting a professor in South Africa, University of Cape Town in particular. I'm telling you, can hardly see people making calls in the office. Hardly. Everything is to send chat, text message, and all that. So I have seen that happen. Follow a matter to a logical conclusion and always get feedback. I always tell people that you don't wait until sometimes you give somebody an assignment and then the person will now wait till you ask him. I mean, people don't know how to give feedback. If you do this thing, you cannot fail. And those who have worked with me see that by the time we finish training and bringing you, nothing will make you to fail in life. Treating clients with respect and dignity. There are some clients, you don't know who they'll become. When I was struggling in Kaduna here, some few years ago, nobody knew I'm going to be a professor. And today, those who look at you with disdain, they are now surprised to see that God has lifted you. So respect every client with dignity. I've mentioned integrity and honor in all action, words, and deed. You must be trusted. In Japan, if they cannot trust you with time, if you come late by Japanese 1 minute, cannot trust you again. You say if you can fail me in time, you can fail me in money. If I cannot trust you with my time, I cannot trust you with my money. So this is what is happening this. And then I talk about decorum and organizational capability should be transparently displayed. You will see that in the place of work, the way people sit down in the offices and cross their leg and do this and behave as if in scripture, we're told to magnify your office. Be proud of your office. Don't speak any bad thing about your organization. You do it very well. And then avoidance of excuses and complaint, no matter what. People think excuses are strategy, particularly when they use sickness and death as excuses. Somebody died, this and that. Now, and so what? It's in the scripture that Jesus said, allow the dead to bury the dead. It's not a big deal to him that people are dying. But that does not mean that we will not show empathy, we will not show respect for people who are bereaved, for people who are sick. But by the time people keep on, I have some organization, if you complain about sickness twice, they say you are not fit to work. And that's why people be hiding sickness and all that. So if you look at some footballers, they have to do that. If you hide sickness, you'll be punished. Because some people think they can give sickness excuses. Footballers don't do that. Sometimes when they are sick, they don't want the organization to know because they want to play. But why are we not doing that in HR practice? Why don't you do that? Application of office etiquette, the way you speak, the way you eat in the office, the way you dress in the office, the way you talk in the office, there should be that decorum and the etiquette. Attendance of meeting and function a must and punctually. Keeping constant contact with clients and partners. If you do all these 20 things, you cannot fail. Exhibiting the right attitude to work and excellent service delivery, self-confidence and interdependence. You can see that you cannot do this thing alone. You have to work with others. Creativity and innovation at work. Share information freely and generously. Stay clear of controversies. And then make the work environment noise-free. Use your phone sparingly. Be resourceful and avoid indolence and idleness at all costs. And so these are the things that I display in my organization as a HR practitioner. And I ensure that people look at it, they read it every now and then. If you float it, I'll point to it and say, see, you are not doing what you're supposed to do. Now, one thing you have to know in HR practice, if you don't, the major thing to conquer is self. If you do not conquer self, you'll be conquered by self, Napoleon Hill. And so this man is trying to increase his life so that he can get the job. As a HR manager, I want to ask, will you employ this person or you're not employed? He's looking for a job and he has increased his height. What do you do as a HR manager? The decision is yours. Perfection may not be attainable. We should not say nothing is impossible. But if you chase perfection, the minimum you get is excellence. The reason why people mix excellence, they are not trying to work perfection. They say nobody is perfect. Yes, but if you pursue perfection, you get excellent. Learning together. One of the things is our catchphrase in CIPM is delivering value through people. So if you look at here, you see this picture, I'm fond of it. This is, this is Chartered Accountant Practice of UK. We have meeting. I was embarrassed when in the whole place, I was the one wearing native. I got embarrassed. In fact, some Nigerians, when they saw me, they were not happy with me. I was shocked to see the white people were coming to me because I was looking different. You can see me there alone. I was regretting, why did I wear this? Because I just went freely. And out of the country, I was wearing that. If I've gone with this attire a lot, I would have sold a lot and make billions. Maybe you wouldn't have been seeing me in this webinar because I would have been among the top rich people by then. But here am I, learning together, delivering value through people. It's about people all the same. Now, what is the thought for today as I round up? Delegate responsibility in order to elongate productivity. As a HR person, you can't do everything. There are things you give others. There are things you can do yourself. And what are we talking about? Just do nothing. It is impossible. And that's why I said perfection is possible. You can attain perfection. Just do nothing. But look at it. Just do it. Nothing is impossible in HR. You can achieve it. Again, just do nothing. It is impossible. And then just do it. Nothing is impossible. Now, what is it? I round up and I end here. There was a country. And that's the trouble with Nigeria. The trouble with Nigeria will make things to fall apart. And when things fell apart, the center could not hold. And Chinua Achebe became no longer at ease. And the arrow of God fell on him. And he became the man of the people. And Professor Wole Soyinka declared that the man died in the antis of the savannah. So I want to thank you very much and wish you the best. And I can ask you if you want to push your questions forward. And then I end here with my profile that was being read to you. I want to thank you very much for having me here. And I hope you enjoy my brief andragogical presentation. And I want to say thank you to His Eminence, the Entrepreneurship Ambassador of the Kaduna State Entrepreneurship Research and Development Center, Global Ambassador, GCEA, Dr. Emmanuel Ogungwe for inviting me, and also Dr. Osaze of the Metaverse PLC, the Global Metaverse, and the rest of them, and members of the CIPM Kaduna branch. Thank you for bringing me. Now, good day. Ndanu, Eleo, Modupeo, Baba. Thank you. You mean nobody was hearing me? Nobody? Nobody on the call?
Okay. Thank you, sir. We are here.
Okay. You have been quiet. I thought nobody is there.
Yes.
So I want to thank you very much for having me. I hope you can hear me and I can hear you. Thank you.
Yeah, your voice is loud and clear.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I will be calling on Emmanuel Ogumbi now to take over from here and usher in the next speaker. Emmanuel Ogumbi, are you here? Please just indicate by raise of hand if you are here, Emmanuel Ogumbi. Okay, over to you.
All right. Thank you, Prof. Thank you. Thank you. I've said it at the beginning that we can't have anything less. I know if you have the time, another wonderful thing about you is that no matter, even though it's 5 minutes, you always deliver. And particularly, I'm always proud of you. I'm proud to be an associate of yourself. And I trust you for that wonderful work. Even within a short time we had to plan this program, I sincerely thank you. And I'm sure all the participants this afternoon must have agreed that, of course, they have a good bargain. Because Prof may be attending to some few things in a short while before our next speaker come, who is also going to be taking a moment. I think it's better we'll have the question take together. I don't know if Prof will give us that privilege. Dr. Umar will just do more or less a short coming from the perspective of a general manager of human resource management, and of course, who is deeply involved in the business of his entity, will just also come from the angle. I like the dexterity of Prof, the way he has approached this. But I'm sure Dr. Umar will also be bringing in some field experience as an HR practitioner. And if Prof can, I'm sure Dr. Umar will be spending less than 30 minutes. Am I correct, sir? Dr. Umar. Doctor, please kindly unmute Dr. Umar so that he can, if he's unmuted, so that he can. Dr. Zazie, are you there?
Thank you very much. I'm unmuted now.
All right. So I want to believe that in a few minutes from now, you could add some few things to what Doctor has done. He has laid a very solid foundation, and I'm sure if you spend 4 hours on this webinar, it should not be sufficient, because I know there will be load of questions. But we want to give opportunity to all our participants to ask questions. However, I think you come on and I want to have a confirmation from Prof that we can still have him for like about 30 minutes. Prof, can we still have him for 30 minutes, sir? Professor, sir.
I can assure that I will just run through for 15 minutes.
Okay,
then,
good.
Question and answers will now come in so that we shouldn't take much of Prof's time.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, I was muted. You know, you mute people a lot. So, Your Eminence, Dr. Umar Mohammed, sir,
yes.
You are welcome, sir. I think I'm praying to be like you, and I think Dr. Gumbi might have told you that I've sent a message to beg you that I want to be like you, that you should help me. Thank you, sir.
Prof, thank you very much for the kind words, Prof. I'm honored. So if I can be allowed to quickly just share my screen, please.
Okay, you can now.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, I will just run through. I strongly believe that Prof has actually done a lot of justice to this topic. And I'll just look at it from a different perspective, where in the agenda, importance of HR, strategic HR business partnership, we look at aligning HR strategy with business strategy. I think Prof also mentioned in that, within that perspective, the key business metrics and their impact on HR. I think Prof also mentioned in that area, the entrepreneurial mindset in HR. I think the practical steps of HR managers to measure the impact of HR strategies on business performance is where I think I will be dwelling more on. So let me just run through these slides. Now, let's look at the part of HR in strategic business partnership. I want us to take a breather and look at HR. As we all know, in the practice of HR, I think once upon a time, when organizations are attempting to downsize, one of the areas they look at to downsize, they say is HR, admin, then personnel management and admin. Why? Because they believe they are not directly contributing to operation. And that is where I always say we always get it very wrong. Now, over time, HR has evolved to be a strategic business partner. And in most of my interaction with HR professionals, I think that is always what we talk about. I always not. I only want to remember what our ECM. I hope she's on this call. She did mention in one of our gatherings and said, I think she's talking about where she's also her own area where she works, and said everything they want to do in the company, in the organization, is HR. Anything goes wrong is HR. The toilet is not flushing is HR. No water running is HR. And why is that? Now, the person they believe that's more accessible they can reach out to is HR. Apparently, the maintenance of the toilet, the person there does not even report to HR. But HR is said to be responsible. And that is where the challenge is with HR. And that is why it's expected that HR practitioners should have that capacity to absorb all these pressures in ensuring that they are strategic business partners in the operations of the business. Now, I'll just quickly read through this slide. Strategic HR business partnership means HR professionals working closely with business leaders and managers to make sure HR strategies match the organizational goals. This is important in today's fast-changing business world because it helps in making better decisions, increasing employees' involvement, reducing risk and cost, and encouraging innovation and change. Now, what I always say is that we have HR managers and we have HR managers. As a HR practitioner, if you want to grow in HR, then definitely you have no choice but to involve in the business. If as a HR practitioner, you're not involved in the business, you're just there just to, like they say, you're there to hire and fire, and that is the end, then it will not work. In terms of the numbers, in terms of the customers, in terms of market share, it's expected that a HR manager is directly involved. You must find that seat on the table. If your business leadership does not believe you have something to offer on that table, then it's just a matter of time that recognition, respect is lost. You must earn that recognition. You must earn that respect. It is not a situation where you just say, oh, this person, they are using directors as HR in their business. Yes, they are using. It's possible. The HR manager that was there before earned that position to be called a director and is now in the board. You also have to work towards also earning that respect. Now, I'll just quickly move to the next slide. Aligning HR strategies with business strategy is crucial for HR to effectively contribute to organizational goals, organizational success. Key steps to achieve alignment include comprehending business goals, talent planning and acquisition, and of course, and retention, computation HR goals in line with business objective, focusing on employee engagement and culture, and implementing metrics and evaluation. In terms of the metrics, evaluation, in terms of the business goal, I think also Prof mentioned, has talked about this area. But like I always say, it is that responsibility of that HR manager to ensure that whatever you are doing, you are letting it, let me cite an example of in terms of manpower planning. Even when the people in operations, maybe manufacturing, engineering, electrical, mechanical, they plan their manpower. As HR, you still have that, you are in that position to further plan their manpower, which you can say, okay, they need 50 manpower to run their operations per shift. As HR, you can further go and even streamline that manpower to even reduce it to 40. But if you do not understand the operation, then there's no way you can get this done. So it is something that you have to understand the operation in details. I won't say better than the probably head of manufacturing, no, but you must understand it in details in terms of manning and analyze the manpower, look at the operations, specific responsibilities of all the employees, and now see how you can now streamline in terms of cost reduction. In practical experience, this is something that I would say in my career I have brought to the table. I can't sit down and allow maybe the head of manufacturing just tell me, oh, for this operation, 80 employees. It now defines the category. Yes, I accept, but operation starts. Along the line, HR comes in and say, okay, let's see how we can streamline and reduce that manpower. The agenda for HR is not for that reduction, but in analyzing further what is on ground, then you now go ahead to reduce. And that is one advantage HR has. Now, in the business metrics and data, at least Prof mentioned the relevance, importance of data. Data drives business. In terms of HR, there are some key metrics and their impact on HR, which is in terms of revenue progression, profit borders, customer gratification, employee turnover rates. And these are things that data helps you to communicate this to the business. In my career, I've sat down to say, oh, let's look at each department and look at the turnover rate. And we realized that a particular department turnover rate is so high. And by the time the data is projected, I think it was on a bar chart or pie chart, it was reported to management. That elicited like a kind of conversation with management and said, why is this HOD? What's the problem with this HOD? I knew the problem. I knew there was a challenge, but because, of course, the HOD is also an expatriate, the business was refusing to listen initially, but when they saw the data, the figures, wow, they said no, and that forced them to listen. I wasn't talking then, the figures were talking, and that is where HR comes in. The time to market, productivity metrics, operational efficiency, market share, I mentioned that earlier, innovation rate, and compliance and risk mitigation. And like I said, as HR on the table, if you cannot support the business and ensure there is risk mitigation, then you are not yet there as a HR person. And that actually makes you that entrepreneur we are talking about. That is the subject matter here today. There are a lot of HR partners, business partners that have grown beyond just HR practice into actually being business owners. In my career, I've gone beyond just HR practice. I do far more involving other operations that if I'm not on the table for that operation, then it doesn't happen. And I also develop team members that also, if they're not on that table, that discussion cannot continue. And that is where you have to ensure I won't say, I don't want to use the word impose, but I will still use it. Impose yourself in that operation. And without using your intellectual capacity, your knowledge, and that interest in the business, you won't get there. I want us to quickly look at this. Entrepreneurial mindset are like natural resources. They are often buried deep. You have to go looking for them. They are not just lying around on the surface. They are often buried deep. That is entrepreneurial mindset. So you have to go deep in terms of getting it to work for you. I'm just trying to rush through. Gosh, okay. These are, I think, a lot of this also Prof mentioned in terms of coaching and mentoring, developing skills in the business, personalized learning, especially on the job training, employee recognition. You don't have to wait for any other person to do this. That is something that HR has to drive. Of course, we in this age, especially what the lessons from COVID-19, where we now have the hybrid workplace design, that you can make sure that you have employees that can fit in there where necessary, and collaborative work platforms. Okay, I will run quickly. This one I said I was going to really dwell on more practical steps for HR managers to measure the impact of HR strategies on business performance in terms of entrepreneurship. Turnover rate, time to hire, the diversity, equity and inclusion metrics, retention rate, cost per hire, engagement rating, training completion. Now, I've dealt with any of these, but you see, in terms of the diversity, equity and inclusion, these are areas that HR has to control. And as a business owner and as an entrepreneur, if you do not put that into consideration in taking your decisions, then you will get it all wrong. Before you know it, other HODs will have forced you, coerced you, probably I will even use the word deceived you, and you just realize that you have gotten it wrong in terms of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Then cost per hire is also on that thing that you look at, you control, you take charge of. I'm not saying HR is the sole knowledge, the sole owner of cost, checking the cost per hire. No. It's possible that even your ideas, when you bring it to the table, there's another HOD somewhere that might bring his own idea that could be cheaper and also give you the necessary results. So put that into consideration when taking such decision. All right. And I also look at the aspect of okay, this is not actually a quote. It's just say embrace innovation within HR, align leadership, foster curiosity, and that is the aspect we're talking about entrepreneurship. Foster curiosity. Do not sit down, and that is why I would say HR has become strategic. Foster that curiosity to bring out those ideas that will support the business. Collaborate across functions. Experiment fearlessness and celebrate progress. And that is where I say HR must be the champion of this. If HR is not the champion of this, then definitely we'll get it very wrong. And I'll use this slide to conclude this very presentation. I'm sure we'll be able to answer a lot of questions in the question and answer session. I hope I didn't take more than 15 minutes. Thank you very much. Over to you, Dr. Sagi.
Okay, thank you so much. We appreciate your time. That was a 5-star performance, and it's one of the best we are getting. But the combination of Professor Seth, Umar F. Mohammed is a superlative performance that we might never get somewhere else again. I want to hand over to Mr. Emmanuel Ogumbi to moderate the question session, and hopefully in the next few minutes, we'll take as many questions as possible. Please, when asking your question, try to avoid explaining. Just ask your question straight, and any of the speakers will respond to you directly in some few seconds too, so that we can take as many questions as possible and close in good time. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Emmanuel.
Thank you, Doctor. Just like Dr. Zazia have just mentioned, I'm particularly excited at the rich experience being shared here, and I like that particular that you are not a pushover in your place, even as the GM Human Resources at TGI, and that I can attest to it, that critical business decisions are not taken behind you. And that is the beauty of an HR that understands his onions or our onions in a place of business. And that is why we are doing all of this, so that when organizations are considering retrenchment, the first port of call will not be how to throw away some of the HR guys and say, after all, one admin man can do the HR work, because the HR man has been carrying file up and down and not sorry.
Mr. We lost you for some time. I hope
yes,
you know.
yes. I was just saying it that we are moving to an era where HR practitioners must be directly involved in critical decisions in businesses. And on that note, we want to quickly, because of our time, allow questions to come. So you can raise your hand from the chat box, and your questions will be taken. And we have the floor now from our participants to ask their questions. So your questions straight, just like Dr. have mentioned. When you are called, please ask your questions straight and direct to the point.
Okay, over to you, ladies and gentlemen. If you have your questions, just raise up your hands and take questions. At most, we'll take 5 questions or 6 at most. We are waiting for the first person. If you have any question for the panelists, they are ready to take your question, please. Just raise up your hand and we'll call you to ask your question. Okay. Olorudare. Okay, your hands is you brought down your hand. Ibrahim Ujulo Medugu. Unmute yourself, please.
Okay.
Okay, over to you.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon, and thank you for the organizers of this webinar and the facilitators. Kudos to every one of you over there.
Thank you.
So I would like to ask a question with regards to the influence of family and friends playing down the objectivity, you know, the practical strategies in bringing in place growth and development in organization. The influence of family and friends, how can that be mitigated?
Okay, we have 2 panelists here. Should I send that over to Dr. Umar? Dr. Umar, over to you, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Wow, that is an interesting question, I must say, but it's not also something that is to worry much about. Now, we are in Nigeria, and not just in Nigeria, every part of the world, there's always the family factor, friends factor in business, especially in the practice of HR. But you see, in making yourself, I think Prof mentioned that as a HR person, integrity is something that is very key that you cannot compromise. Now, if you are seen or known to be somebody that is HR and you are bringing in your friends or family to the business, you are recruiting them, especially when you have better candidates, then already your integrity is already rubbished. So you must put that into consideration. So what I would advise right from the onset as HR, and I'll just, let me not even advise, let me just say what I have, the practice I've taken right from the beginning is that where I work, there's no family there. It's a principle from the onset. No family there. So that means if I have any family member, I refer them to my other professional colleagues that can check them, assess them, interview them, and see if they fit, and they are given the role. But in the place where I work, I do not recruit family members, and my family, my very large family, already know this. Same applies to friends. So I would advise that that is what you take up as a principle, especially in HR, because the level of integrity, and transparency in HR is higher to me. Please, I beg to be maybe disputed here that the level of transparency and integrity in HR is higher than any other person in the business. And that is what I always tell my professional colleagues, because if maybe the mechanical engineer does something wrong, nobody wants to bother. But that same thing, if the HR manager does it, then it's a big deal. If you have not experienced this, I'm sure with time you're going to experience this. So that is why I will tell you, set that principle right from the onset, and you will not have any problem with family and friends. I'm sure Prof will want to say something to this also, please.
I think there is an advert, is it by NTN or one of those network that they say family and friends, F and F joined together. Well, His Eminence, Dr. Umar Mohammed, maybe having the Shagari style of Shagari never allowed any member of his family to interfere with his business. In fact, his children wanted to be using facilities of governance at the presidency. He did not allow them. He said it is only him that is the president of the country and not his family. But the truth of the matter is that that is not the Nigerian thing. It's uncommon in Nigeria for those at the helm of affair not to allow their family to interfere. The family encompasses our wives, our children, our relatives, extended family, and nucleus. Now, by the time you finish your term or you leave office, they will now be the one to blame you that you do not achieve anything. We are told that business thrive when family and friends pay their dues. By the time we allow them to be interfering with our work, we should forget about delivering value.
Recording in progress.
From day one, we'll let them know our principle. If you are close to me, you will know my principle very well. My wife was a manager of a bank controlling 25 branches. I'm a consultant. Of course, I need to be working. I try to avoid interfering. Do you know that it's in their head office that they will give me a consultancy job? My wife was in a position to give it to me. I never got one. But I still got consultancy in their bank. Sometimes people would think she's the one that helped me. I got it from the head office using my own consultancy acumen to get it. So me here, I've seen how family will come to say, do this, do that. And sometimes they will hate you. But you can hate me, you cannot, but respect my success. And so if you are the one that is driving towards success, you want to be sure that your friends pay their dues. Your friend do this. I have a hospital close to my house. When he was building the hospital, I provided water for him. He was very surprised. 24 hours, I'll put my tank, open them for them. They'll be working in the night using my water throughout. I do not collect a kobo from him. When he finished his hospital, anytime I go, he will do it for me free. My mother went, he did for free. My wife went, he did. My children. I stopped going there. I say, see, my conscience will not allow it to be doing. He said he can't forget me because of the water I gave him. And he been telling people telling me that this is what this man said about me. So I said, the only way I can go, and I went to go and do NIHIS. Then I use his hospital. So I felt that by the time I do that, I can now be going to the hospital, win-win. He will attend to me and my family based on NHIS. And what you want to do for me for free, he equally do it. So we balance the equation. So I want to say that you have to be very careful. You can help your family at your own expense. That's what they do in the White House. When Obama was there, Obama is entitled to his meal and members of the family. If his friends come and eat the food that day, they will bring a bill to him and say he should pay for those his friends because they do not prepare with them. So this is why how great organization prosper. When you begin to do that, you see yourself, doing very well. So be careful. We cannot stop you from helping your family, your friends with free lunch. But know that the bottom line will be affected. You should always think of the bottom line. It's not a government agency where anything goes. So the kind of training we're talking about here is for business, not for government. So be careful and balance the equation. Thank you very much. I think Dr. Ogungbe, the ambassador, and Dr. Osaze, I want to beg for permission to take excuse. Thank you very much. I'm grateful.
Thank you, sir. Prof.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. We are so much grateful for your time, and I want to believe there's no doubt that that question has been done justice to. Justice has been done to that question. So we'll move on to the next. And you are excused, sir, to take your leave so that you can.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful. Your Eminence, Dr. Umar, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you very much for your time, too, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay. Due to time constraints, we have just two persons raising their hands here, so we might just take one out of them. Please, let's respond. Let's answer our questions in seconds, and I will appeal and I beg or appeal to Dr. Umar to also respond to you in seconds so that we can finish within our time frame. Okay, Mustafa, you have only 20 seconds to ask your question, please.
Yeah, how should an HR manager deal with the issue of let me see, conflict of interest? I think that's my question. Conflict of interest. How should an HR manager deal with that?
Okay, over to you, Dr. Umar.
Well, I think part of what we just discussed is also part of conflict of interest. So that's how I put it. When there's a family trying to come into your operation as a HR manager, there's conflict of interest. But if it's regarding any other operation, then
okay.
Mustafa, are you speaking?
No, go ahead, sir.
Okay. Now, in other areas, it is something that as HR manager, you guide against. You guide against jealously. Where you have, let me give you an instance. You are the HR manager, and at the level you are, you have you can run training programs, get external consulting firms to run it, and you now went to go and bring your own consulting firm. Of course, it's not bearing your name, to come and do training for your business, your own company, where you are the HR manager. That is a direct conflict of interest. And that is what you must guide against. So it's not dealing with it, it is an issue about avoiding it. Now, if you are referring to other employees in the business where such matters are brought to you, and I'm sure you have what we call the employee handbook. In the company where I work, it's clearly stated in the employee handbook that when there's conflict of interest, then you have to just find a way to absorb yourself and make sure you are not there at all. You must declare your intention. If for instance, you want to use your own personal business company, you must declare from the beginning so that the due process will be followed. But that is for other people, maybe in the business. But as HR manager, I will just tell you clearly, don't even go there at all. Don't go that path at all.
Okay, thank you.
That's all. Yes, Dr. Osaze.
Thank you, Dr. Umar, and I want to believe, Mustafa, you are okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, one more person, and that will be end for this session. Oloru Dari, over to you.
Good evening, sir, Doctor.
Good evening.
Thank you very much, sir, for this rare privilege.
Thank you.
I see you like a big role model. You have been. I've learned a lot while I joined this large metaverse, and I'm still learning by the grace of God. I love it. I love the program. You are doing a great job, sir.
Thank you.
Professor Seth said while he attended a meeting, I think somewhere in is it UK or so, that he was the only one that looked different. And he's like, is it that it is bad, the attire that he put on, the dress? Now, if you look at Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, for example, she always dress in her native. She doesn't care about whatever anybody feels at that. And the question is it bad the way he felt that others were on different attire, putting on English there? He's the only one on native.
Okay, I think we've got to your question. You are giving us your own lecture now. We've got to your question. You are asking about the mode of dressing that someone needs to put on when in a meeting or whatever as an HR personnel.
No,
okay.
I think what he said is just to quickly chip in what Professor said. You know, he wasn't saying that it's a bad thing. He said he came out different. Even some of his Nigerian colleagues were trying to criticize him. But at the end of the day, he became the toast of the day where everybody wanted to get close to him. And that's why he took the center stage in that picture. They put him in the middle. And that if he even wanted to sell that native wear was wearing, he would have auctioned it for probably up to 5,000 pounds or so. That's what he was trying to say. So it was a positive thing, nothing negative about the dressing.
Very good, very good. Thank you very much. Yes. Thank you very much. Okay, I want to believe that Oluwase, you are okay with that. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to keep to our words by declaring this program closed. We also want to say thank you, Dr. Umar. Thank you, Professor Seth, though I know he has exited. And also thank you, Mr. Emmanuel Ogumbi, the branch chairman of CIPM Kaduna. This has been an exciting moment for everybody. The group we created for this is going to remain there for some time so we can respond to you. We can take your applications or certificates, and if you ask questions, we'll also respond to those questions. So just stay put in those groups and don't exit the group. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Now,
Thank you very much, Doctor.
Yes, okay.
All right, let me just a way of round-up. Once again, appreciate our facilitators this afternoon, Dr. Umar F. Mohammed, who has particularly taken the burden of this webinar upon himself to make sure that it come out successful. And of course, our own prof in Kaduna here, who is also shows so much interest in make sure that this knowledge sharing is successful. I want to appreciate you both, and thank you for making it a success. Dr. Saze, I think I also owe you, as a branch chairman of Cardinal Branch, owe you a lot of appreciation for this collaborating effort that you have put together. However, I would have loved to share some few thoughts, just in case there are people on this call who may be asking how would they want to be a part of CIPM. And I think just the summary that CIPM as an institution is a professional body, the apex regulatory body of human resource practitioners in Nigeria, and is an establishment that was established by Act 58 of 1992. And we have different routes for membership, and of which examination is one of them. Corporate membership is also part of our membership route. We also have experienced practitioners who have had opportunity to also join with analytical writing exams. We have examination route in different stages. We have the Foundation 1, we have Foundation 1 and 2. We also have Intermediate 1 and 2, and also Professional Level 1 and 2. These are different categories. And our website, for those on this call, for further details on CIPM, I would like to give our website, which of course will be posted on different platforms after now. But then we will also, I would like to put across the website as www.cipmnigeria.org, www.cipmnigeria.org. You can access, and I'm sure you'll be glad to be a part of this great institute. And of course, our numbers are available on different, you can reach out to us on our different lines on the flyers, and you will be well attended, just like Doctor has promised. And I can assure you that different routes by which you can be part of it. Experienced practitioners can also join through the HR practitioner route. We have the executive route. We have the academic and military, paramilitary route by which you can join. If you are in academics, you are a lecturer, you are in the military, there is room for everyone to be part of HR. HR role and function is a global one, and the Institute had made provision to allow everybody, medical doctors. Today, by the grace of God, our national president is a trained lawyer, a lawyer even to Supreme Court level. And coincidentally, he was supposed to be speaking with us on this call. But just like I said at the beginning, he is in a speaking engagement somewhere in Lagos, and so he's unable to make it to this meeting. I've checked right now. I look out for any of our national leader on this call, but I'm sure they are ably represented by Dr. Umaru, who is a very senior colleague, a very senior fellow in the institute, and we can see the stuff is made of, and that is what CIPM is known of. And without much ado, I want to appreciate everyone. And just like you have seen on different platforms, certificate for this program is available at 7,000 Naira. And the details and processes of having it is being posted. You will all have it. Just fill the link properly, and your details will be used to issue your certificate upon confirmation of your payment. And you will get the certificate as soon as payment is made and processes are completed. Once again, I want to appreciate everyone. Your questions, your inquiries can be made available on those various platforms by which you have this advert, and you will be well attended to. Once again, I appreciate our speakers, all our participants, and all the collaborating team for this meeting. And of course, I appreciate all our colleagues and members of the Cardinal Branch who have taken their time to participate in this program, and hope that in our next month webinar, we'll also see you participating. Thank you, and God bless as we bring this meeting to a close. Doctor, are you still here?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I'm just sending the link now for the WhatsApp group for those of you that are saying you are not there. You can just the chat box, click on the link to join the WhatsApp group so that you can get updates, respond to questions, how to become a member of CIPM. Yes, thank you very much and stay blessed.
Thank you.